Okay, well, Happy New Year, everybody. Thanks for being here. Near as I know, the first day of school back is gone off to a good start. While it was cold this morning, it was clear, no wind, and the sky was blue. So that's how we started the 2019 calendar year. For the work session today, first of all, I wanted to inform you that we've had a TriCaster go out that pertains to our being able to broadcast our work sessions and our board meetings. Please don't ask me any more about that. That's as deep as my knowledge gets in that area. We're working with a group to get that fixed. We think that it'll be fixed very soon. It won't be fixed yet for today, and it's about 50-50 as to whether or not it'll be fixed for Monday night. In the absence of that being fixed, we're sending out email blasts, social media blasts to let folks know that they can still watch it on YouTube and
replays on Kayler later this week.
And replays later this week on Kayler. Also, we're going to loop that so that if they come in right at the time of the meeting and wondering why that meeting isn't on, they can see where to go to watch it live. So we'll get that fixed as quickly as we can. But it's been a month or 6 weeks probably now. We don't have it fixed yet, but we think we're in very short time we'll have it fixed. TriCaster.
Look that up.
Yeah.
Next, for today, as you know, we went through the school report card, what we get from the state that tells us how we do, and then we take a deeper dive into those statistics and metrics and try to figure out what should we feel real good about, and as always, there's plenty to feel real good about, and what areas do we need improvement on. And one of the things that we talked about at the first December meeting was taking a deeper dive in a couple of areas. And one of those areas was college and career readiness. So we've asked Dr. Boyson to take us through some information today on what do we do in terms of offering pathways for students, what does college and career readiness look like for the students of the Sioux Falls School District as that relates to the state of South Dakota, and then see if we have any gaps that we need to work on going forward. So with that as the context, I'll turn that over to Dr. Boyson.
All right. Good afternoon. Happy New Year. Good to see everyone. Thank you, Dr. Maher. And as Dr. Maher said, college and career readiness, the state came out with their new report card as required by ESSA. And one of the areas was college and career readiness, and they expanded that. So as we look at that metric this year when we got our state report card, we looked at that results, and they added some new things into the college and career readiness area. So we took a deeper dive so we can understand in Sioux Falls what we do to get students ready for college and what we do to get them ready for a career. And so that's what I'll walk you through today. Some of this data you've seen before because we have reported it out in board reports, but it goes into that college and career readiness metric. So I just wanted to make sure that we covered all those areas for you. And so, again, ties everything back to our strategic plan and priority area 1, student outcomes. The 2 that are in green, the differentiated engaging pathways, is one of those. And then the second one would be college readiness or career preparedness that tie back to our student outcomes in our district strategic plan. You've seen these next few slides. We've reported these out, but again, the graduation rate is in that college and career readiness, and our graduates last year, we had 83.4% of our students graduate on time, and the completer rate was 88%. And then this comes from the clearinghouse, the National Clearinghouse data. So 64% of our students go on to post-secondary school, and then 572 of them, or 41%, go on to public in-state, private in-state 8%, and out-of-state 14.85%. So again, we've seen this before, but where do they go? We have our students go to the university. The top 4 are University of South Dakota, SDSU, Southeast Tech, and Augustana. So pick your favorites, or if it's not listed.
Not in that order, right?
It is in that order, I believe. The order is correct.
No preferences there. So then on ACT performance, again, these are the rankings that you've seen before. Our average ACT score in Sioux Falls is 23. At the state level is 22, and the national level is 20. So 23 is a great score for the Sioux Falls School District. 55% of our students take that ACT, and so that's the percentage of our students that take that. Sorry, what was the percentage again? It's 55%. So then, and then advanced placement is another area that goes into that college and career readiness. And so when you look at this, this is our AP data that we shared with you earlier this fall. And so 2,547 AP exams were taken last year, and that equals 1,351 students. So one thing we have to remember is students can take those as a freshman, sophomore, junior, or a senior, and those are the different lines there. So we have multiple AP exams. We have over 30 AP exam options for students in the Sioux Falls School District. And we had in that, yes, 2,547. So now we'll dive into that college preparedness and career preparedness. So on the left side, that assessment readiness, this is one of the metrics. They measure all assessments that we give. So we'll go through those and that data, and then I'll move over to coursework readiness, and that's how we'll divide it out. So just stop me if you have questions on any of that. But on the assessment readiness, we give the Smarter Balance assessment. Students have to achieve a 3 or a 4. We give the ACT, and they have to have an 18 on the English ACT to get credit, or a 20 in the math. And then the AccuPlacer is something that a student can opt to take. So let's say I don't do well on the Smarter Balanced, but I want to go to college, and I don't want to take some of those foundational courses at the beginning that I don't get credit for. I can opt as a student to take that, but I have to pay for that assessment. And so that's a student choice on the AccuPlacer. And then the bottom one there is a National Career Readiness Certificate. And that, again, is something that's we do not give in Sioux Falls as a group. And so that's a certificate that we'll do a deeper dive in today so you can understand what takes place with that. So the first one is assessment readiness. And again, you can see the Smarter Balance. Yes?
Can you go back once? I'm sorry.
I sure can.
So on your assessment of readiness, they have to score on one of those three, right? So it's a Smarter Balance or an ACT.
Correct. So I could get, they have to have both categories. They have to have the English and the math and have a qualifying score. So I could have my ACT in English hit an 18, and I could have my Smarter Balance hit a 3 or a 4 in math, and then I get credit for that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yes.
The AccuPlacer, you said, is they can take that, the student pays.
The student has to pay.
What's the cost?
I believe it's $75.
Okay, thanks.
So on the assessment readiness, this slide here will show you the percent of students who took the exam and we received credit, if you want to say, for it, meaning we get a half a point. If I back up one slide, if they hit the marker for English and math, we get a half a point as a district for credit for the college and career readiness on our state report card. So on this slide, we had 68% of our students get the English credit for the English. We had 74% get the credit for the ACT. And then in math, it was 55% of our students who took the Smarter Balance achieved a level 3 or 4. The ACT, 70% of the students that took that hit the 20, the level 20. And then for the NCRC, this is deceiving because it says the Sioux Falls School District had achieved 60% of the students who took the NCRC achieved a level of a silver or higher, but we only had 5 students take it. So 3 out of the 5. So that's where that score came from. And those were students that took it through some of their coursework at out at New Tech. So.
And the
Yep.
rest of the state, other school districts in the state require that exam?
They do. Brandon gives it to all their students.
Okay.
Rapid City, Central gives it to all their students this year. Stevens is going to give it to all their students. Pierre gives it to all their students. And we'll get down into that a little bit further, but of the students that take it, 85% of them, 85 receive a silver or higher.
95 up there.
95% well, they receive a certificate.
Okay.
But, right. 95%, yes, you're right,
So
receive a silver or higher.
we'll go deeper into that.
We will go deeper
Okay.
into that.
Thanks.
So here we go, the NCRC. So we'll go into a little bit so you understand what it is, and we really need to look into it too, because we don't give that in Sioux Falls. So what is it? What does it mean for the students? And how will it benefit them? So it's administered by the Department of Labor, and they give 3 assessments: applied math, graphic literacy, and workplace documents. And each test is timed, and it takes 50 minutes.
5-0.
Yes.
Thank you.
And so I'll go a little bit into it because it really talks about that workplace. How am I going to use math in the workplace, literacy in the workplace, and workplace documents, and what would that mean for me as a student to take that assessment, but as an employer also. So these are, I'm sorry, these are a little bit harder to read, but this, I thought it'd be good to see the questions because there's a level 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So level 3, it says, and I'll read it for you, it says, in your job as a cashier, a customer gives you $20 to pay for a can of coffee that costs $3.85. So the first one says, what's your change? How much change are you going to have to get back? That's a level 3. So a level 7 says the farmer where you just started working has a vertical cylinder oil tank that is 2.5 feet across on the inside. The depth of the oil in the tank is 2 feet. If 1 cubic foot of space holds 7.48 gallons, about how many gallons of oil are left in the tank? So the difference between a level 3 and a level 4 question. And so as we go further into it, it will talk about if I'm a level 3, what types of jobs would I be successful if I had a level 3 certificate or if I had a level 7 certificate. So more management or higher level skills at a level 7 versus a level 3. So that's your math. And then when you get into the graphic literacy, the level 3 document.
Has we been notified in advance of the grades that we got as a school district that was going to be a major marker?
If I turn in that certificate, I can get a raise. So then they were looking for that around the Sioux Falls area. I have a list of employers. So there's 52 employers in Lincoln and Minnehaha County that they're listed on the Department of Labor's website. Right now, I think the job market is good for if you show up and you have a good attendance record, you probably can get a job in some areas, you know, depending on where it is. But the NCRC would be one more thing that the students could list on their resume as having a certificate for that.
So if I recall, the new grading system that the Department of Ed puts on us, just this last year, they require the NCRC. So that was a new requirement?
It's not a requirement, but that is a new measurement.
It's a new measurement.
And were we notified of that before they turned that out? No. And so that's why we're really looking into what is the NCRC? What's a requirement for us if we want to give that? And what is the benefit for students?
And will our students do better on it than they say Smarter Balance or
Right.
ACT or AP or
Right.
the other measurements?
And so if I'm going to college, the Smarter Balance is going to help me get into college, and I'm going to need those scores, or the ACT, one of those two. But if I'm going into the workforce, would this NCRC be a certificate that I could list on my resume? And if you and I walked in at the same level and I have that certificate, would that be a benefit? So,
What we really need to figure out is, what's the benefit of giving this assessment? Is there a benefit to the student? Are they truly going to get more money if they have a certain gradation from this assessment? Are they more employable? And then, yeah, to forecast, everybody's employable right now.
Yeah.
But if that changes, does this give our students an advantage, or does it put them at a disadvantage if they don't have that? So that's one thing. The other thing is for the school district, is there information that we can glean to help us in terms of providing the information, whether it's instructional delivery or coursework, or is there anything we get from that? Right now, we get a score that goes out, and it's somewhat meaningless at this point. And I say that because, number one, the data is a 2-year lag.
correct, this is 2017 data.
So it's hard to say that. It's hard to say why. The only real solid reason I could give right now is if you look at the college and career readiness score between Brandon Valley and Sioux Falls, it looks like they're really doing a lot better job than we are. I don't think that's the case. Versus Harrisburg, who doesn't require their students to take it. The two scores, I really don't think they give any indication of students being more prepared for college and career readiness, regardless of what you might read.
I think that's why I'm torn, is I'm looking at it and I don't remember the numbers, but I'm thinking, so 68%, and everyone has to take the Smarter Balance. So it's the same population of people that are taking their Smarter Balance that are also taking this test. So why is it that 95% are able to score high enough on this test, whereas when we're assessing their actual skills of what we're teaching them throughout the year, only 68?
Is there a misalignment there?
Yeah, like does it seem like is it an easy out? Let's have our students take this, and not that our Smarter Balance don't matter, but this is easier
Or should it be weighted
to attain.
to align at the same points? Is that?
Yes.
The difficulty of the assessment's interesting too, and that's what I think Dr. Boyson was alluding to, is the number 85%
That,
of the students who take the assessment get a silver
or higher, right, in
Yeah.
the state, across the state of South Dakota. And so it really is, it's two different, one's an assessment of readiness, meaning the NCRC is what level of job could you handle, and that Smarter Balance is an academic.
Right. And then when you're reading through the questions on that NCRC, I actually like the questions. I mean, I think it's the application of what we are teaching you, which is fabulous. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to the cashier and they look at you because they hit the wrong button when they were supposed to, you gave them a 20 and they give you a 10, and now they're like, I don't know what to do, So I think those skills are very valuable to have, but I think it's the application of what we're teaching them. And so I don't know if there's something that we're missing in that application piece that you can't show in a Smarter Balance. Well,
and the Smarter Balanced is, they are really accessing those higher level skills and problem solving skills. And the like I said, the NCRC is really looking at what can working towards those, but they don't get to those multi-level questions like we do in Smarter Balanced.
When you talk to Rapid City, and they give it at Central, but they don't give it at Stevens, did they give you a reason why they chose one high school and not the other to administer the exam?
They were just, at first it was an elective where they had a small group of students taking it, but over the years, everybody takes it at Central. But Stevens now, since it's on the report card, they're going to be giving it. Okay. And the other piece is, when we look at that college and career readiness across the state, you can't compare if it's not a required assessment. Right. And so that's the other piece. So, yeah, but their employers are using it out in the Rapid City area.
Well, you've got an exam that's given by 125 school districts out of the 150 in the state. So, I mean, there's a reason that the 25 school districts choose not to give it, but then to have that as a significant piece of your district's assessment seems maybe.
And I think a question for the Department
Backward
of
way to
Labor on that
manage
one is, or the Department of Ed is, when ESSA came out, you had to have a way to measure your career preparedness. And so they needed to find an assessment measure that would measure career preparedness, and that was what they had.
Is there, I mean, nothing's free. So what's the cost of
Free.
administering?
This one's free. So
It is free.
This one is free so far.
Okay.
At this point.
And so if a student were to take it, do they only take it as seniors? Do they take it every year?
Right now, they give it to juniors or seniors,
Okay.
juniors and seniors. They could take it again. So let's say I took it and I received a bronze and I wanted to reassess. I could take it again.
Senior years.
As a senior.
And so like if I took it in, I don't know when it's administered, let's just say it's in April, are the results, I'm assuming it's on a computer, and so
Right.
do you get results within a month before you graduate?
You get them quickly because we had a small sample in human services at CTE take it in December.
Okay.
And they took it on a Thursday or Friday, and we had them by the beginning of the next week.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, and, that was 35 students.
Sure.
So we would have to see with a larger pool if it would be maybe a week or two.
Right. But, I mean, still in comparison to a Smarter Balance where you're waiting for forever and then you get the results and you still don't really know what they,
Yeah.
what they mean? Okay.
Would this would this also alleviate the issue with students who take 2 career tech classes and they're not in the same field?
Yep,
That
we'll
will
get-
alleviate, oh, I'm sorry.
How
I
about we
jumped
get to
ahead.
that? Let's get to that, okay? Because that's on the other side. That's a coursework
Okay.
for parents,
Yeah.
so we'll get to that. So when you asked about benefits, and Dr. Maher alluded to that, so we need to ask ourselves, what are the benefits? Well, recognized by employers, do they recognize that certificate? And then it's a unique assessment for those students. So it measures something a little bit different than the Smarter Balanced or the ACT. And then the other piece is it fills the need for that advanced career endorsement. They have to have a certificate if they want that advanced career endorsement with a new diploma. The NCRC fills that bucket for every career cluster. So that does help our students in that fact. So then
Quick question, sorry, just
Yeah,
go back to
no.
that. Have we, so I know workforce development isn't really meeting. Are we going to take this to the Chamber of Commerce and ask them, like, of these employers which are recognizing this certificate? Is that something we could do?
I think Dr. Boyson has.
Yep, I talked to a few people about do they recognize that, and Hy-Vee's on here, Howe Plumbing and Heating, and some of those they do recognize it because they do value that. Is there employment or financial? Not now, but again, they might. Just depends. It truly depends on that workforce, right? And again, here's the numbers. So if you look at South Dakota from 2009 to 2018, 85% of the students that have taken it have received a silver or higher. And last year, again, 125 districts gave it, 4,000 students, just over that, and 39, about 4,000 students earned certificates. And that's all levels of certificates, so bronze, silver, gold, platinum. So then that was the assessment readiness piece. Now we'll get into the coursework readiness, and will that help our marker? Will that help us and the students achieving that? So we'll walk through each one of these areas. And one piece is, in Sioux Falls, we talked about the AP culture. We have strong AP. So then how does it, and then we have multiple choices with CTE. How does that impact our score? So we'll go through that. So career clusters, we have 16 career clusters, and those are put out by the Department of Education. And so within those career clusters, we can have CTE courses. So I just, as a frame of reference, this slide. But within those career clusters, here's Sioux Falls Course Offerings. So when I say we have multiple offerings, and one of the markers is students taking 2 CTE classes in the same career cluster, they're asking those kids to really limit their options. But we have out at CTE, we have 47 different classes that students could take. So if I take Construction 1, and then I want to take something with foods or culinary arts, that's not the same career cluster. So I don't get a half a credit for the Sioux Falls School District because I chose 2 different options. So in some cases, are we getting penalized because we have such rich offerings? And then in the high schools, we have 18 different CTE course offerings too in the areas of finance, family, consumer science, and tech. And the number behind that is the number of courses we offer in each one of those. So when you see a 6 behind Academy of Finance, there's 6 classes within that. Health science across there's 6 classes in that. Human services, there's 6 courses that we offer within those. And then CTE Academy Exploration, when you look, it's on the bottom of the left side. That's a new course that we're offering out at CTE that allows them to explore in all of those areas. And then that does meet the need. If I take that and a culinary arts, I've met the requirement. Okay? And then that also meets the foundation, CTE Foundation course requirement too.
That course and any other course.
Correct.
It's kind of like a wild card.
It is, but it lets kids really get to decide what they like then and explore just in a little bits and pieces. And each, I can try welding, I can try auto body, I can try culinary arts, I can try human services or health sciences. And then coursework readiness. This is all the categories that are listed on the right side of that report card. And so we have that CTE concentrator. So we looked at that report card where it said 32% of our kids were college and coursework readiness, and we're like, how come we're not making the mark? Well, the CTE concentrator, that's where I have to take 2 classes in the CT in the same coursework. We only had 333 of our students out of 1,679 take 2 in the same course. We had 509 students take a CTE course. And then another area is dual credit. We only had 107 students take dual credit. But AP, 444 of them took at least one AP course. And then the AP exam, 996 took AP exams. And then that last category, the CTE foundational or capstone, we don't have that measurement yet, and we will get that. And then on this report card, they didn't use the CTE coursework or the AP coursework or the foundational. So when they said 32% of our kids were ready, those 3 markers were not included in that data. The state didn't pull that.
The AP weren't?
Right. The AP coursework, right. So we didn't get credit for that.
Only
So
the
if I
exam.
took a course but didn't take an exam,
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Or took the exam and failed, or got a 2 instead
or
of
got
a
a
3.
2, right, exactly. So in looking at college and career readiness, our assessment readiness, they look at the Smarter Balance, the ACT, and the NCRC. Those are the 3 areas. The AccuPlacer is there too, but that's a student would have to pay to take that. And then under coursework readiness, the CTE concentrator, 2 courses in the same career cluster, dual credit, AP courses, AP exams, and CT foundational courses and capstones. So what can we do as a district to increase that marker on our report card? We can look at, do we administer the NCRC? Really looking at that CTE concentrator, and are we offering everything we need to do for our students? Dual credit, and really exposing our families to dual credit and the options that are out there. And continue to build that strong AP coursework and exams, and working to have all students take AP courses at some time during their career. So that's our college and career readiness and our coursework and looking at the opportunities. So are our students ready? Yes, I believe they are ready. We just have a rich AP culture. We have multiple opportunities for CTE exposure for students. And this is one area of the report card that they look at. So we're on for questions.
Are they going to, now that they've had 1 year under this new, have they opened it up for discussion amongst the schools?
They have.
And to see what, okay, so what
Yep.
is being discussed regarding?
Well, right now they're asking for feedback. And so just submitted with help from lots of people down here are reflections on their new report card on looking at the different markers and how they collect the information or report out the information. And then I believe in February, early part of March, they're going to pull together a work group to look at that.
Okay, thank you.
So kind of in thinking about dual credit, because this has been kind of perplexing to me. So I'm a freshman this year. So last year we were talking in 8th grade about enrolling, and it seems like there's a lot of pressure to enroll in speech as a freshman. And to me, speech is like the most obvious dual credit class that a student could take. And so my question is you can't take a dual credit class until you're a junior or senior. So why do we focus so hard on getting freshmen to take speech? Because now if my daughter does that, she can't take that as a dual credit class. But that's what that's what the counselors are like, take this is a freshman class, this is a freshman class. And there's lots of classes that she would love to take, but as a freshman, you're not eligible. So maybe we need to look at some of those classes that are offered as dual credit, and maybe we have some appropriate classes that are maybe currently not available for freshmen to take, but can we swap some of those around and have students understand why that's a benefit to them to wait?
And that's some of the discussions we've been having with counselors, and then just even really looking at that, thinking of here are our dual credit options, and that's put on through the state and Board of Regents. They approve those dual credit courses, and get that information to families so they can make that decision. Because as a family, you can say, I don't want to take speech because this is a better option, because if I take it as dual credit as a junior, then I can pay $150, take that class, but then I'm covered for high school and in most university settings.
Yeah,
so,
and I know that there's, I talk to other parents about dual credit, and then I get that, but be careful, because if you take too many, then you can't apply for freshman scholarships as a college student because you have too many credits and you're no longer a freshman. So I just think there's a lot of like education that we should be doing, and I don't even have the answers because this is all new to me too. But then I'm like, okay, well, it's a balancing game. Like, you want to have them have credits, but you don't want to be exempt or not eligible for
but
other.
Then you can register as a sophomore, and you get to register early.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's a
Right.
it's a big thing, but I haven't spent a lot of time. Speech is the one that just sticks out to me, but I know that my daughter has talked about going to Nebraska. You can go to Nebraska and you can type in a class and it will tell you if they accept it as dual credit. And so there's lots of different resources out there. It's just a matter of how do we educate the right people to know how to find them and even be thinking about some of those questions and answers, because as a parent of an 8th grader, you're not really thinking about 2-3 years from now. You just want to hope your child is successful in 9th grade, and so it's disappointing then to maybe find out, oh shoot, I shouldn't have done that.
And that's something that we haven't really worked on, the dual credit piece of it with our family. I mean, we know the AP is just as strong as dual credit for them.
Yeah.
And my student could take an AP for this, but a dual credit might be a better option for them on this piece. And so how do we get that balance? But yes, getting that information out to them.
And we used to have a coordinator, and we talked about that briefly, and he retired, I believe. Ron, was it Ron? Barry. Exactly.
Right.
Yes. Did we replace that position, or that's just went out to the counselors?
That's went out to the counselors. Yes.
Okay.
All right, any other questions? Thank you for taking us down into the weeds on this. And I'm not critical of the fact that we have an assessment, and not even critical of what our scores were. I think it's important for us as board members to know how we got to where we are. I appreciate the fact that the state is going back and asking the questions to find out how this worked for us and, you know, how it works for all of the other 149 school districts in the state. Each of us has different needs. Each of us is very different. Our school district being so much larger than all of the others in the state, I think gives us a uniqueness that the others don't have. And, you know, I hope that and believe that the state will take that into consideration moving forward and making sure that the assessment that we get is applied properly to the education that we're providing for our students. So, thank you. Okay. We had no one sign up for public input today, so we will move on to board committee reports. Carly, you want to?
Sure. We have policy tomorrow morning. We have path next week, and we have calendar the next week.
All right.
There's my update.
Okay. Well, budget, same thing. The process has started, and we'll be continuing with that. Chamber, Chamber is tomorrow morning. We're having our legislative presentation with the Good Morning Sioux Falls, so we'll get a report on that. City County Schools didn't meet in December, so we'll be starting our schedule now in January with that. One thing, just as an informational piece, more than a committee report, Cynthia and I attended in December a meeting that we were invited to by Aaron Sertzka with the Minnehaha County. One of the things that's being looked at is a community coordinating council. This is a model that has been successful in other counties, and not even metropolitan areas, but other areas in the country where, and we have our city-county schools meeting every month, but that's we get a kind of a 10,000-foot look at what's going on with each of the three areas. This community coordinating council, if it happens, if it gets developed, would be the city of Sioux Falls, the county, the sheriff's department, the police department. It would be a broader group that would meet not monthly, maybe quarterly, maybe less often than that, but it would be an opportunity for all of those entities to have a more formalized way of communicating, letting each other know what's going on, possibly even a way for each one of those organizations to work together on acquiring some grants that could be spread across different groups. And Cynthia, jump in anytime. We're not committed to do this. We wanted to find out what the concept was, what it was about, and they're working on putting a set of bylaws together that they've got a very, very basic draft that's out there right now that isn't going to work the way it's written, but it was a place to start. And
yes, and this committee actually has a grant for 2 years that they received to kind of fund it, the ongoing meetings and so forth. So if we decide to join it and be participate, there will be no cost. When that 2 year is up, everybody can decide if they want to stay on this coordinating committee or not. And like you said, with grants, probably their first focus, from what I got from that meeting, would be maybe like the triage center that they're starting here. And so what they look at is things that are going to benefit everybody within this community, work on to get together on this team.
So there's going to be one more meeting at least. We don't know when that is yet. We'll probably go to that. By then, I think there'll be some questions that have gotten answered. We'll take another look at it. And again, we're not committing to anything. We want to find out if this looks like something that we want to bring back and have more discussion on with the rest of the board and the administration to see if it looks like something that might really have some possibility and get legs that we can all benefit from. So
It's good that you're at the table.
yeah. Policy for STI, we met, and you'll be getting a report on some policy changes. Mostly those are just review, revise language changes to make them more appropriate for post-secondary. And well, then we'll have our STI meeting when we get done here. That's all I've got.
No insurance meeting, no PTA meeting. Budget, we're just getting underway. Sports Authority, they're revamping the website, trying to pump up the marathon a little bit more, looking at some different options for different sporting events to bring into Sioux Falls. And that's it for me.
I have hardly anything, yeah, because insurance is the 17th and calendar is the 16th, and our Sioux Falls Education Foundation is not till next Tuesday. And we did not have an affordable hug.
Carly touched on policy. We're meeting tomorrow morning, and Head Start met just before the holidays. They're still working on getting more parent involvement, looking at their policies and procedures. So those are the only committees I'm on.
Okay. Anything else to come before board? If not, we stand adjourned. Thank you all.